Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my gleeful co-host, Bree Tucker.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
That one just came from nowhere.
I love it.
Gleeful.
Gleeful.
It's like the glee. Bree, we are on episode 41.
Oh my gosh. How did we? That's insane that we've gotten this far.
It's insane. It's insane that it's only started in September and we're already on 41.
Oh my goodness.
It seems a little crazy.
Yeah.
It seems a little crazy. Well, today we are talking all about how to get your family to help out more, which is a huge, huge thing.
I think every single parent has that struggle.
They do. And something that I've heard a lot is that like the family will kind of ignore mom's struggle until mom just completely loses it. And then they're like, oh my gosh, how can we help? And something that I hear echoed again and again, like on Facebook groups, is how can I get my family to help out more without losing my
Yeah, right? Like that immediately brought me back to that book, Mommy Burnout, with Dr. Cheryl Ziegler.
Mm-hmm.
We had her earlier on in the episode. Well, actually, we had her twice on so far as a podcast guest. But her book, in it, she tells a story about a mom of twin boys, and they were teenagers. And like finally she had the day where she just was like, that's it. And she just left.
Yeah.
And like after a little while, her family started texting her. They're like, are you coming back? Her husband's like, do I need to file for divorce? And then they came back and they were like, we love you. We're so sorry. Why? Why does it take that kind of misery? And we're going to talk about that today. Why that happens.
We're going to talk about it so that you can get your family to help out more without losing your ish, which I will say, I swear in person, but for this podcast, I know you might have littles in the car, so I refrain from it.
We actually do we do a very good job of keeping this very PG.
We keep it very, very PG. It's very like Pixar, Disney, because they're not G anymore. They're PG movies.
I know, right? Like it's funny at the schools. I know sometimes they try to watch movies before the holidays and whatnot, and the struggles of them trying to find a G-rated movie.
You can't find many G-rated movies
even
anymore.
Frozen wasn't G.
Yeah. It's all everything needs parental guide. Man, since everything needs parental guidance now, no wonder we're more stressed out.
You're right. We don't get a moment alone.
We don't get a moment alone.
Not a moment.
So today we are going to give you a 3-step process for how to get your family to help out more without losing your ish. And is that how you say it? Is that like the colloquial? Yeah.
I think ish works.
Ish.
And if it isn't a thing, we're going to make it a thing.
We're going to
Don't lose your ish.
So get ready for that. And we hope you enjoy this episode. Are you ready for homework to become your kids' responsibility instead of yours? This episode is brought to you by the Drama-Free Homework Checklist. In it, you'll discover the 4 simple steps to encourage your child to take ownership of their homework. Get it at noguiltmom.com/DFH. That's Drama-Free Homework DFH -checklist. Or you can follow the link in our show notes.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, Let's get down to this 3-step process that everyone can use to get people in their house to help out more.
Okay.
So it boils down to 3 things. If you are feeling like you are doing everything, if everyone else is just sitting watching their devices, maybe they have skateboard videos on YouTube playing nonstop, or they're watching Brooklyn and Bailey's hair tutorials.
I don't even know that one. Is that a thing right now?
Yes.
Oh my God,
Brooklyn and Bailey.
Outfit.
They are twins. They're wonderful. They're wonderful. They're great. It's just on. It's on a loop. That's why it just comes right to me.
It's TikTok in our house nonstop.
TikTok, if they're watching TikTok nonstop.
Don't stop.
And here you are, and you are making dinner, you are cleaning the house, you are cleaning the bathrooms, you are doing all the errands, and you just like, why? Why won't someone just lift the finger and help me out? Here is the 3-step process you can follow. And it's going to be first identifying your upper limit problem. We're going to talk more about that. Having a family meeting, and then accountability.
I like the upper limit problem thing because you brought that up recently in an email that
Yes.
you sent out to everybody. And I was like, oh, what's this? Joanne wrote another book. And I'm like, okay, what's this all about?
You get on me a lot for reading a lot of books.
You're just so much better at me than it. I feel like I you know what my problem is, and I didn't realize this until my current relationship I'm in, where my partner is like, you have a little bit of a competition problem. And I'm like, I'm not competitive. He's like, yes, you are. He's like, but you're like closet competitive. Nobody like tries to get you in a competition, but yet you see everything everybody does as a competition. And he brought up you. He's like, Joanne, for instance, she reads and you're like, she reads another book and you're like, oh, Joanne read another book. No, I need to read another book. And he's like, she never asked you to. Nobody's keeping tabs but you. And I'm like, yeah. But anyways, my point being was, as soon as you started talking about it, I felt like it was another one of those things where it's the thing that has no name now has a name.
It has a name, yeah. And by the way, the secret to me reading a lot of books is I don't finish all of them. That's how I do it.
That makes me feel a little better.
No,
Okay,
I had
good.
like a stack of 4 books on my nightstand, and one was like the Alexander Hamilton biography, and I read about 100 pages, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'll just
right.
watch the rest of Hamilton.
I could see that, but you know me, my little type A of me is going to be like, but you didn't finish. So
Yeah,
you
but
can't
that's
start
okay.
another.
I could still quote it. I could still talk about it, and I didn't finish it.
You still understand it.
I still understand it. So this book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and by the way, have not finished this book yet, and I'm still talking about it. So it's okay.
I love this.
It's okay. So
You
I'm
guys
making you
should-
feel better.
Joanne's like putting her like, it's okay, Brie. It'll be okay.
It'll be
Like,
good.
Patting my hand. You'll be okay.
But it's called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks. It was actually released in like the early 2000s. He talks about the upper limit problem that people have, where human beings are only accustomed to certain levels of happiness and certain levels of like relationship fulfillment and certain levels of success. So that when we surpass those levels, our brain unconsciously tries to bring us back down to something where we feel a little more comfortable.
That makes sense. I
Mm-hmm.
can. It has to do with don't move my cheese. I'm comfortable in this space. I
Yeah.
could see how that could be applied to other areas.
Yeah, so it happens a lot if we're relaxing. And I bet maybe you do this too, where I was relaxing on the couch just watching Bridgerton on Netflix, and my husband's here like cleaning up the kitchen. He comes into the living room. Immediately I look up to him. I'm like, am I okay here? Do you need anything? What can I do? And here I am relaxing, and yet I feel like I need to break that relaxation because I'm just so happy and so content.
I'm trying to keep myself in check. I literally just had that happen 2 nights ago. And
Yeah.
like I have tears in my eyes right now from trying to keep this in. Totally. The other day I was sitting there and we had finished dinner and I forget what it was, but I wanted to catch something on like the news or whatever. So went over to the couch, watched that for a minute, and next thing I know, Miguel is over washing dishes.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up and I'm like, can you come back over here? And he's like, why? I'm washing dishes. And I'm like, but I feel like I have to be over there with you if you're doing that.
It's your upper limit problem.
And that's exactly
Yes.
he's like, why is what I'm doing? And I'm perfectly happy with what I'm doing, and I'm perfectly happy with you doing what you're doing. I appreciate it, but I don't need your help. And you're right. That's because I had this overwhelming urge that I was doing something wrong because I wasn't cleaning.
Yes. I get that too. And I think a lot of parents get that. A lot of moms and women in particular.
I hope nobody's getting whiplash from
Oh my
shaking their
gosh.
head yes
They're
while
like,
they're listening to this.
Yes. So that is the upper limit problem. If you feel like if someone else is working in the house that you have to get up and work too, bam, that's it. And part of the ways you can get through your upper limit problem, the big one is just recognizing it's there so that next time it happens, you're like, oh, that's my upper limit problem. It is not a real thing that I need to jump up and do. I'm going to stay right here.
Okay, so another term that can go with that, it doesn't exactly apply the way it was created, but name it to tame it.
Name it to tame it. Name it to tame it.
You got to name it to be able to start dealing with it, man.
You got it. So the second step in this process is that you need to have a family meeting.
Oh, we love family meetings here at No Gut Mom.
Yes, we do. And we actually have an episode all about them. It's episode 32 if you want to start family meetings in your house. But the reason you need a family meeting to get your family to help out more is that everybody needs to be on the same page.
Oh, so they don't listen when I'm screaming and yelling at them in a fit of rage, going, get down here and help out.
No, like I always go back to hearing that argument between my mom and dad where my dad's like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And my mom's like, why do I always have to tell you what to do?
Right.
Because people don't realize the things that we see as important to getting done. So
Right.
the family meeting communicates that.
Right. And it gives you a chance to express where your frustrations are and let everybody help come up with a solution that they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's being talked down to or yelled at. It's calm time to talk about it.
It's a calm time. And
Because, yeah, when I'm mad is not the time to ask me.
no, it's like, just do something, just pick it up.
Anything.
But to start this discussion in your family meeting, once you have family meetings going, you just ask everyone to do a brainstorm. Like you do a brainstorm together. Let's write down all the chores that need to be done in the house.
Yeah, everything needs to be done on a weekly basis, monthly basis, daily basis, whatever you guys choose. Just talking about that one by one. What can each of us do? And then I can guarantee too that when your kids see the list, you know, if a 4-year-old wouldn't get this, but you know, I would say like probably a 7-year-old and up are going to be able to look at that list and be able to see whether or not yours is twice as long as theirs.
And a lot of siblings have this really big preoccupation with fairness. So
yes,
when you do this together as a family and then you have everybody volunteer to take chores, they can immediately size up their list to their siblings and be like, okay, we're equal. We're good.
that is a really good point. Take in that fair play, that equality that they fight for all the time and bring it to the table. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM.
And so with chores in the house, like before this whole family meeting thing, which you actually told me to do, and it worked just amazing, this brainstorming of chores and then having everybody agree to take one and it making like it all equal and everybody has a say in it. Before that, I was using the Full House example where you saw like Danny Tanner in the kitchen writing this grid of household chores and then assigning every family member to a different household chore every week. That's exhausting.
And then who has to keep track of that?
Yeah, Danny Tanner.
Yep. Somebody ends up having to be the gatekeeper. I tried it too. I mean, we tried it too in our house. And we're not saying that you can't write it down after everybody decides what they're going to do. Like if you, and there was a time when we started doing that in my household where my kids were younger and they needed that reminder and they didn't like me nagging them. And I didn't like nagging either because I got annoyed when I had to nag. So I didn't have the nicest voice and I wasn't using the kindest words probably. So, you know, we did have it written down where they could just go to the fridge, read their list. But again, it was theirs. They controlled it.
They control it. Yeah. And that's a big thing in it. And also, once they pick a job, you do not have to switch it every week. Give it to them for a while. My kids have their jobs for at least a year.
Yeah. Yeah, we check in once a year, maybe 6 months if I'm the one who wants to change or if I notice someone's not doing their chore. We'll have a family meeting and the first thing I'll say is like, how are we feeling about our chores? Does anybody want to change them up? And I think I talked about this, maybe we're not on podcast, but like there was a time where my chore at our old house, because it had all tile, was to mop the floors. And my daughter had to do, I don't remember if it was dusting or vacuuming, but she thought it was unfair. And I'm like, well, I'm willing to swap out mopping. And she's like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. Like as soon as I would throw out that one to her, she was always like, if that's my only other option, then no.
No way.
Because it was also like that. Like, these are my chores.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with these chores. I'm willing to give you this one. It was a little bit of negotiation, you know? I may not want to mop, so here you go. You can try it. But she was not down for it.
Yeah. But it's also good because it's like, hey, this is how we're helping the family. So if you don't want to do this part, you need to take something else.
Right. Exactly. And it does help so that in our family, while nobody overly likes cleaning, we at least all know that it's equitable.
Yeah.
So
it's fair. It's fair. And then before you really assign the chores and expect people to do them, you need to make sure that they actually know how to do their chore. So for example, loading the dishwasher. That my son does, and he's 7 and he loads the dishwasher, but he was taught very well how to load the dishwasher, not by me, by my husband. Because me, oh my gosh, I am one of those dishwasher loaders that like, I'm like, it fits. And I'm done. And let's just squeeze it in and we're good.
I have been known to do that a few times. Yes. Well, no, and that's a really good point. Like, you guys can have your family meeting, you can assign the chores. That's fine. But you need to make sure that for everybody in the household that they do understand what the expectation is of that chore and how they can actually do it. So again, like talking about the dishwasher, we have another person that we have interviewed for the podcast that's coming up here soon, Katie Hurley, and she talked about how her daughter had a chore of making up her bed, and it drove her nuts that her son could make up the bed just fine, but her daughter couldn't. And so finally one day she's like, "Do you know how to make up your bed?" And her daughter was like, No, not really.
Yeah, we don't realize that kids don't know how to do the chores.
Right. Like, you think that something like making up your bed isn't that hard. They see you do it every day. But again, the point is just because they see it doesn't mean they understand that you have to pull up the comforter before you put the pillows on. Like, again, like they don't necessarily understand this happens because of that. So take a few minutes, show them how to do it when you're in a good mood.
Yeah.
And you're not mad and frustrated. That's a big one right there. I think we all.
I think just loading the dishwasher gets me mad and frustrated, so I was not the ideal candidate for that teaching position.
I love that your husband's an engineer and that he's like, I got it, man. I got it.
He's like, no, step away. We do not want to teach him your way. I'm like, okay, I got it.
Oh my Lord.
He is an excellent dish loader. He
probably outloads me.
Yeah, he outloads me for sure. So after I've identified your upper limit problem, you've had the family meeting, then comes the final step, and that's accountability. And that's a hard one because I'm going to tell you right now, things are going to go wrong. Like they are. People are not going to remember to do their chores. Yeah. They're not going to do them correctly. They're not going to do them up to expectations. Right now, let's just get it out of the way. way, that's going to happen.
Right. And here's my question to you. Because again, I feel like a lot of times we don't even realize that we're doing things. When you're having a bad day, or like in my case, like I suffer from really bad headaches, migraines, if I'm having a migraine, if it's my night to cook, my expectation is that I would say to somebody, I'm really sick. I can't do this tonight. Can you do it for me instead? Or let's order out instead. I'm expecting that slack. And I'm expecting to come back with people saying, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So when my kid has something that pops up, I kind of need to give them that same understanding and respect too, right?
Sometimes yes, but sometimes it just really, really depends.
Okay.
Because a lot of the time we let our kids off the hook for stuff that they should still be responsible for.
Oh, that is a good point.
This comes a lot in like schoolwork, like schoolwork and sports. It's like, oh, you've had such a hard day and you're so tired. Of course I'll take over like doing dinner for you tonight. And then it happens over and over again. Well, guess what? You've had a hard day. You're tired and you are still getting yourself up and putting like dinner on the table or doing the chores you need to do for the family.
That is a really good point. Like, because I'm reflecting back to when you brought this up before, talking about Glennon Doyle. She talked about with her son. Is it Chase, her oldest son? And that he was doing that, right? And she was doing stuff for him. And so that unfortunately, and it's very true. You're right when you say that. It leads our children to believe that what they do at home is not as much of a value as what they do outside the home.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is exactly what's gotten us into this position, right? Of us taking on everything traditionally. I'm not being sexist. I'm just saying traditionally women, we get the hard responsibility of everything being done in the household. Mm-hmm. And the expectation a lot of times by society is that the opposite gender has to do things outside the house, right?
Yeah.
So then we're just perpetuating the situation that we know is causing pain and discomfort. So yeah, you're right.
So we need to hold them accountable.
Yes, they do have to be held accountable.
They have to be. Unless if they're running a fever and they're like obviously sick and it hurts to move, and especially in your migraines, like you can visibly tell when you cannot function.
Poor Joanna has seen so much more of this in the last few months.
But that's a whole different level.
You're right.
Kids just being, I feel a little tired. My stomach hurts a bit.
Right.
It's like, no, you got to do this.
Or I forgot to do my science project.
Yeah.
And now the whole 5-page report is due tomorrow kind of thing.
So but the first way to hold kids accountable, to hold anyone in the house accountable, is by this strategy called noticing. And I'm taking this from the No Drama Discipline book by Dr. Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson. Noticing is when you just notice things that haven't been done in the house or that have been. So it can have a positive spin on it too. For instance, I do this a lot with the dogs. I notice the dogs look hungry. Or, oh, I notice the dogs are staring at you, panting. Just things that would be cues that they need to be fed right now.
I notice that the cat litter seems to be full of poo and pee.
I know. I did that the other day because we just recently moved the cat box into the bathroom, into the tub we don't even use, cover it with bats and stuff so the drain's all protected. But anyways, I went in there and I told my son, who's in charge of this, I noticed the bathroom smells a little bit. And he's like, oh, I forgot to do that. Yeah. So it's a way you can do it without nagging or reminding. You just notice what happens and usually they take it from there.
Right. And it feels a lot less combative.
Yes, it is a lot less combative.
Why didn't you do this?
Yeah. Or
you didn't do that.
Or do that.
Right. Just like, I noticed it. And a lot of times, again, it'll either get them to hop up or they'll at least tell you what their plan is.
Yeah.
I was going to do it as soon as I was done with this. Oh, okay. Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much.
Yep. That's a great way to handle it. The second way you can do accountability is just let the struggle happen. Sometimes when we see our kids struggle, we take over.
It is hard.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
We feel that like pull at our chest and like we see our kid breaking down when like if they're making dinner and they like pour a little bit too much in or they spill something all over the floor, you're like, it's okay. I'll take it from here. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Resist the urge.
Resist. Let them struggle. It doesn't mean you don't like offer to help because obviously if you spilled something on the floor and someone was standing right there, it'd be a pretty like jerky move to be like, oh, I'm just going to watch as you clean this up. Like you don't have to do that.
True. That's very unfortunate. I'm going to turn around and walk the other way.
I'm just going to stare at you and ask you like all the things that are pretty much obvious that you need to do right now.
Right.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
But sometimes too, like when things are a struggle, they're not the most open. Your kids, people in general.
Yeah.
I know the same thing with me. Like when I'm frustrated, I'm not always the most open to helpful advice at that moment. So letting them struggle, figure their way out.
Yeah. And like the struggle also, I mean, this happens a lot with dinner making because each of my kids has a night at dinner. My daughter usually doesn't need my help in the kitchen since she's 12, but my son is 7, and so I'm there with him the whole time. So he'll like do something like spill something on the floor or like put a wrong ingredient in, and I have to stop myself from jumping in right away. I try to, engage that upstairs brain and start being like, okay, has this happened before? That's always the one I go to. Has this happened before? And he'll be like, yes. And we're like, okay, what did you do then? And he could tell me, and then he does that thing.
See, that's good because you're helping him walk through those steps. So, okay, shout out just back on our podcast. If you have any trouble with this, letting your kid just go ahead and deal with the issue there. We have 2 podcasts we've had in the past. We have Ned Johnson. We had him on podcast episode 29, where he talks about self-driven child. And then we also have Miss Jessica Leahy, who is also on episode 13, who has a whole book about the gift of failure for your kid. Yes, those are 2 great podcasts that'll help you with this step, because I gotta admit, I struggle with it a lot. I'll blame it on my type A personality, but really it's just me. Just me.
So the third step for this accountability, if noticing has not worked, if letting them struggle just doesn't seem to be going the way you want it to, then it is time to let them know your feelings through an I statement, because we need to be open and honest about what this, like, I don't want to say burden, but just what like the responsibility of having to do everything does for us. So with I statements, you say, I feel the emotion you're feeling when, and then you say like the objective thing that happens. And this has to be described in a way like an outside observer would be like, yep, that's exactly what happened. So for instance, if I said like to my son, like, I feel like sad when you purposefully wait until the last minute to unload the dishwasher. Well,
That's a little bit accusatory.
that's accusatory.
Right?
That's putting a bit of blame in it. And like an outside observer would be like, wait a minute, how do you know he purposely did that? You don't know he purposely did that. So you always have to think of that outside observer. So another way to say that is like, I feel upset when you go to bed without unloading the dishwasher.
That's a good one.
That's objective. Anyone could agree with that. Looking from the outside, be like, yep, he went to bed, didn't unload the dishwasher. Check.
And I think that it's worth saying that there is a chance you're going to say that to somebody.
Yeah.
And they're going to come back and go, huh, sucks to be you. But that is the exception.
That is the exception.
99% of the time you say something like that, it clicks in a person's brain and they're like, oh.
And they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you felt upset when I did that.
Right. Right. Or they'll, and you know what? The other thing too, I'm going to say is like, you're not always going to get an I'm sorry after that. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Because were you really pulling for an I'm sorry with that statement, or were you pulling for a change in action?
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes give people a little bit of time. And when I say a little bit of time is like, it might take 5 minutes and it might take a day. I doubt it would take more than a day or two for somebody to take action on it. But still, like if it's something that's like a daily struggle that you brought up to them, but give them a little bit of time to work through it and then figure out what their next actions are. But definitely, yeah, don't blame. Nobody likes being blamed and being.
It gets those defenses up. If you're
Right.
like, no, I didn't. I was doing that. And then you have this whole defensive attitude to deal with instead of remaining open to the communication and actually solving the problem. So yeah, keep those I statements very objective. Like someone from the outside could like have their little checklist to be like, yep, that happened.
Yep, it sure
Totally
did.
happened. So that's the process to go through. If right now you feel just like burdened and overwhelmed by the amount you're doing in the house and no one is helping you out. First, you're identifying your upper limit problem.
Which is crazy because I had no idea I had one, but I clearly do.
Yeah, a lot of us do.
I just
have
like,
one too.
again, I think everybody, I don't know anyone off the top of my head
Yeah.
that doesn't probably have that.
No, this also happens with like when bad things happen to you and you reason that, oh, it was because like I did this and that's why this unrelated bad thing happened to me. It's like, no, that's your upper limit problem.
It reminds
Like,
me
none of
of that video we saw one time of Brene Brown when she
the coffee?
She spilled her coffee and immediately her first thought was, dang, her husband the night before.
Her husband the night before came home late and she didn't get sleep and she was so tired that she spilled coffee and it's his fault.
Yes, exactly.
So first, identify that upper limit problem. Second, have that family meeting so everyone is on the same page. And then third, follow up with keeping everyone accountable. You know, they agreed to it. They're going to do it now.
And we can do that by noticing, letting them fail,
Mm-hmm.
and by those lovely I statements, which you had some really good rules that I wanted to like quickly just go over about the I statements.
Yeah.
Don't do them when you're angry, right?
Right. No.
That was one.
Nope. No angry.
Yeah. If you are really seeing red, you're probably not going to put together the best I statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not a good moment. What were some more rules?
The more you use it, the quicker you get at it. So it's going to feel awkward at first if you're not used to using I statements.
Yes. And that's actually, I see that all the time in your household because you have been doing I statements with your kids since they were little. Your son can do them phenomenally.
He can do
now.
them really well. It just rolls off his tongue, the I statements.
It amazes me the skill he has, and he's in second grade.
He's
an amazing communicator.
He's great.
And then the last one, you have to think about who you're working with, right? And it's going to be trial and error.
It is, especially with teenagers. Oh my gosh, everything will be twisted. And if you feel like your words are getting twisted, you just stop right there and be like, it's the age. Okay, we're going to come back to this a little later.
Right.
Yeah.
No reason to keep arguing.
No reason to keep arguing. So we want to hear how this episode helps you out. So please email us hello@noguiltmom.com. And if you ever have any ideas for future episodes or you have any questions that you want us to answer on air, email us there as well. hello@noguiltmom.com. We really want to do some listener question episodes coming up, and we want to talk to people who have made this change in their lives to helping their kids become more self-sufficient so that they are feeling more happiness as a mom and are able to squash that upper limit problem too and actually enjoy that happiness.
Oh my goodness. I just can't even.
We have to talk a lot more about the upper limit problem.
Yes, that's going to be, I'm going to put the end for a few more episodes here so we can talk about that.
I'll finish the book.
Okay. I know. We need to find the solution. What's the solution to it? I know it's a problem now.
Right now he's
Yeah, I've
talking
got a
about
name.
barriers. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Until next time, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you. And let's talk to you later.
Thanks so much for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who was pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.